right, now that I am all set up, we can jump right on in. Good morning and happy Friday, everyone. I hope whenever and wherever you're tuning in from, you are having an amazing day and you're feeling great. You're in a spirit of gratitude and excitement for the weekend. It is so gloomy and rainy where I am, so I just have the ring light going and some candles, and I am creating high vibrations in this space. As you are coming in, let me introduce myself. My name is Kashira. I am a business and brand strategist. I specialize in helping women business owners master their messaging, package their expertise, and create consistent revenue in their business. You can learn more about me at thepowercollective.co. Hello and happy new year to you too. Today I want to talk to you about consistency. And I want to talk to you about consistency from a lens of not necessarily discipline and habits and practices that will allow you to be consistent in your business, but I really want to talk about some things that can be happening in the background that could be impacting your consistency and also impacting the consistency in how you show up online. So you may have seen the title of this and you may be thinking, oh, I'm going to teach you how to post every day online and how to always be present. But I also want you to think about, how can I show up not only all the time, but how can I show up in the same way all the time? How can I have consistency with my messaging, with my posts, with my content, so that I'm creating a relationship with my tribe, with my followers that is authentic and helps them to learn a little bit more about my business and what I can do. So if you have watched me before or listened to me before, then you know that I tend to talk in steps. So if you are organizing your notes, I have 4 bullet points here for you, and we're going to pray together that I can read my own handwriting as I was writing in a hurry with passion. Okay. So, one of the first things that I feel can cause issues with consistency and how you show up online is there's some dissonance happening in your mind. And what this dissonance can be caused by is a disconnection from what you're actually doing right now in your business and what you want to do in your business. Here's a really good example. Let's say you are a career coach and your goal is to coach, mid-level, executive level career professionals on elevating and growing in their brand. However, for some reason, you're only really writing resumes right now, and you're only advertising resumes right now, and you've told yourself that this is the money maker, right? This is what's bringing in revenue, this is what's bringing in clients, but it's not what you really want to do. It's not what makes you happy. It's not what fuels you. And you know this from a conscious level, but from a subconscious level, you keep doing the thing that you don't want to do. And even though this thing is generating money, if you're not money driven, that's not going to fuel you. And again, that can cause inconsistency with how you are showing up online, if you are showing up online, and how you're actually positioning yourself. And I'm so intrigued by this because I have consultations every week with women, and it's so interesting to hear them talk about what they're doing now versus the vision. And I'm always intrigued to know, well, what's stopping you from going forward after this vision? And a lot of times what's stopping that person is really in their head. It's really some imposter syndrome that's happening there. There's a lack of confidence that's happening there. There's a lack of clarity on what that next step truly looks like in terms of output, in terms of marketing, in terms of communication. There isn't any simplicity around what that new niche will look like, and the imposter syndrome can be so heavy and so suffocating that it's like the astounding thing, and it's kind of blocking and covering up, right, those other issues. And so that's what leads you to doing misdiagnosis on your business, and that's when you start to think that the problem is you or the problem is Instagram, versus really thinking about the true problem of, I need to get clarity on what this vision is, and then I need to hone in on it and create that path. Which is why in my programs, the very first thing we talk about is personal assessments and finding your niche, figuring out who you want to help, what problem you want to help them solve, and then from there going into the messaging before we even think about what that packaging of the new service piece looks like. Okay, so if that's, I want you to do some meditation on this and really think about, am I having dissonance around what I'm doing versus what I want to do, what I feel like I should be doing, what I feel like I'm called to do? And if you do feel like you're having that, really start to ask questions, right? And don't ask leading questions where you're like kind of filling in a gap, but really ask questions around, why am I not doing this thing? Why do I have doubt around this? Why do I feel like, this isn't my calling, even though it actually is, even though I'm equipped and I have the skills, I have the strengths, I have the talent, I have the expertise, I have the experience to do this. Why am I struggling with where I'm actually supposed to be showing up in life? The second thing that could potentially be causing you to show up inconsistently online is that you may be in a space of playing small, and you may be in a space of shrinking back the blessings and abundance that you have to share. And that is another thing that really connects to mindset. So when you're playing small, that already causes inconsistencies, right? So one thing I think about is, in my Facebook group, which if you're not in my Facebook group, you should join us. It's called the Power Circle, Mastering Your Message with Kashira. It's linked in my Instagram bio, and wherever you're listening to this and consuming this, there's links for the Facebook group somewhere. But I remember asking for people in my group who have a service, how many of you have a service that's over $1,000? And I was so intrigued by the responses of people who felt like, I can't have a service, right? I can't have a service that's over $1,000. I can't have a service that's the premium price tag. I can't without any true meat and potatoes behind that. I can't. There's no true reason why. And that's just in the space of playing small. And especially if you come from a corporate background, a working background, or maybe you're in a situation where you were underpaid and, they would give you that little 2%, raise every year. Your conception of money, value, and worth may be skewed because of those past experiences. And so now it's time to do some conquering your money mindset work, which is an ebook I do include in my programs, and really start to shift why you feel like you are not worth this, why you feel like your value and your strengths and your skills don't deserve this equal exchange of energy, because money is going to be energy, right? You're going to extend energy to your clients and helping them, and they extend energy through the form of their payments, right? And so thinking about, why are you playing small? Why do you feel like, low cost, cheap things are the only way that you can have a business? Why do you feel like digital downloads is the only way? Why do you feel like, one-off masterclasses is the only way? Why do you feel like you can only put out a book? Why do you feel like you can only charge $100 for a whole hour of your time, right? Like, where does that come from? Why are you playing small? And you know that you're playing small in the back of your head, but again, that imposter syndrome is like in a way, and it's saying, no, that you're supposed to be here, right? And all of this dissonance that's happening really just causes that inconsistency, because then you start to look at your goals and things that you want to do, and you're like, the business model I have doesn't really support this, but I don't feel like I can change it because I don't really believe in myself and in my skills and my abilities. I don't believe that I have, value of a higher price point. And then it's like there's just this whole mess that happens, right? So again, in my mastermind program, part of the pre-work was mindset work, right? Recognizing that mindset work is a continuing and evolving process, but getting started on it, because I know that in my mastermind, when I tell you that, in order to be in my program, you have to agree to committing a service that's over $1,000 in price point. And even then, $1,000 is low, but it's a good milestone to start with, right? Like, I need you to be fully committed and not self-sabotage us through the launch process along the way. If you listen to me talk about mindset before, I told you, it doesn't matter if I give you the exact steps and the exact blueprint and even the exact thing to say, on social media to get clients. If you don't truly believe that you are worth this and that you're valued at this, you are going to sabotage it. You're going to deliver it with energy that is vibrating way low, super low frequencies. That doubt is going to show up, and people aren't going to believe your messaging, and they're not going to have confidence in you. And one thing I can tell you as a coach for 5+ years now, 6 years now, I got to stop saying 5 because it's a new decade. But one thing I can tell you as a coach for 6 years, people are not going to give you any amount of money if you sound insecure. if you don't sound like you're comfortable in the results that you're saying that you can deliver, if you're not comfortable in the frameworks that you say you can teach, or the deliverables, like if I'm hiring someone to design a website and they want, $2,000 for it, and they sound like they aren't sure if they can actually build the site for me, and they aren't sure if they can really portray my brand accurately, and they aren't sure if they can install these plugins, then it's like, I'm not giving that person my money. Would you? Keep it 100. Would you? You're not, right? And so again, that's doing that inner work. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, because I know for some reason on Instagram, my male followers is going up. So hello to all of the men in the tribe. But, it's an ongoing process. So don't beat yourself up if today, in this moment, in this space, you feel super, super confident and excited, and then tomorrow you have doubt. It's okay, sis. It's okay, bro. Like, that's a part of the process. But you have to recognize it and not just give up, not just throw in the towel, but know that it's an evolving process, but know that this needs to be a part of your professional development plan, along with getting better at Instagram strategy, along with getting better at Facebook, along with getting better at live streams, along with getting better at having sales calls. There needs to be work on your mind, right? On your mindset, and on closing the gap between where you are now and who you actually need to become to reach that level of abundance you desire in your business, in your life, like career. This applies to all kind of stuff, right? So with Heart Creative Studio says, have confidence in the results you provide. Absolutely, right? And also recognize, and this may be a little controversial, but especially for service providers, recognize that, there's only so much you can do, because your clients have to also meet you in that space, meet you energetically where you are, right? And an easy way to think about this is, how many of us, you don't have to identify, but I will identify, have bought a course and didn't finish it? I have. My 2020 goal is to get through them, right? You bought a course and you didn't finish it. You bought a course, started strong, but didn't quite get there, right? Which means you may have seen some results, but not the best results, or you didn't see any results because you didn't finish, right? And in that space, it's not the instructor's fault. It's not the course provider's fault that, like, I didn't get results. I didn't show up and complete the roadmap that was provided to me, right? And so in that instance, that's an example of, you have to start to free yourself. Know that if you are truly called by God and you truly are blessed with this skill set, know that you are doing everything in your power, but recognize that we can't step into our clients' bodies and do the work for them. We can't step into our clients' bodies and sell for them. We can't step into our client's body and have confidence for them. They have to meet us energetically in that space and show up. Right? Which is why I tell people, when I talk about my transition and my story, and, the first 6 figures and the second 6 figures, I tell people, like, I'm not trying to sell you a dream. I don't have a magic wand. A lot of what changed in the last year was just my perspective. To be completely honest with you, is my perspective. My strategies have been consistent. If you've been with the tribe back when we were called Her Movement, and back when the colors were pink and white, I'm still the same girl. I'm still the same. I still have the same message. I still cuss a little bit, like, I'm still that same person. But again, it's that growth in that perspective. And now I'm going on a tangent, because I should have been, my goal was to wrap this up in 15 minutes, and I have a minute and a half, but I'm not going to rush, the messaging. Okay, so what is my next point? What does my handwriting say? So one thing that I want you to think about when it comes to how you're showing up online is, sometimes there's inconsistency with how we're showing up because we are spending too much time in the passenger seat. And what that means is, we're spending a lot of time observing. And this is where social media can be a little, distracting. We spend a lot of time looking at other people and feeling like we need to do what they're doing, right? Because we see maybe they're getting engagement, maybe they're getting comments, even though those things can be bought. We have the assumption that they're making money. Can I just be honest and say, a lot of people that you think are making money online aren't making money online. And I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it because it's true. And I just know I'm in a lot of spaces, y'all. I know. And I'll tell you that a lot of times it's the ones who are criticizing you in their marketing, who kind of using the bully style marketing, who, their way of marketing is kind of like shaming other people and talking about what people aren't doing and all of that crap. Those are some telltale signs. You may just want to mute those people on the timeline if you need to. But a lot of times we're seeing these things and we feel like that this is the new definition of success. And a lot of times it's not. And while there are best practices for social media and, just some good guidance that I can give you, a lot of it has to do with your authenticity, right? Look at people like the lady from Crayon Case, right? Like she's her authentic self all the time on her social. She doesn't follow a lot of the rules that people tell you gotta do to get traction and engagement if you follow a lot of the experts, right? Not that the experts are wrong, but I'm just simply trying to give you another perspective. She doesn't necessarily follow what they say you should do, but she's doing well in her own right because she's authentic and she's built a community of people. Sorry, Instagram, somebody called me. Let me put my phone on do not disturb. Okay. So she's built a community of people who, are attracted to her because of her authentic spirit and her authentic self. And so I would argue that if you find yourself feeling comparison syndrome, if you find yourself feeling like I gotta log into Canva right now and go make these graphics because so and so did it, or I gotta go get this video app to put the words on my video because everybody's doing it, like that's the thing, right? Like if you're starting to feel that, what I would challenge you to do is curate your timeline better. And even one thing I had to do recently, because I'm friends with a lot of my competitors, I'm friends with a lot of business coaches and I love what they do, but I had to mute them on my timelines. I didn't unfollow. I do want to see them every now and then, but I had to mute because I'm in a launch mode and I don't want to be distracted by the launches of others because then I'm going to doubt my own shit. Like, I'm going to just be honest with you, okay? Let me tell you what's happening with me, right? I have to do that so that I can be laser focused on my own thing. And a lot of coaches unintentionally have similar stuff, right? Like I have a mastermind program, so does a lot of other people. My mastermind program focuses on one particular thing. A lot of other people's mastermind programs focuses on other stuff, which is fine, but I just don't want to be distracted. I just don't want to worry, right? So the bulk of my timeline is, experts in places that I don't teach on where I feel like I need some support, positivity accounts, affirmation accounts, like that kind of stuff. And so if you feel like that you're being distracted by social media to the point where social media is influencing your every move, then you need to curate and cultivate your timeline and recognize that, yes, there is a strategy to social media. There are techniques you can leverage, but it shouldn't be copy and paste. It shouldn't be, oh, well, this girl has the type of feed where it's a picture, then a quote, then a picture and a quote. So now I have to go do this thing versus I desire to do this thing because I feel it's going to resonate most with my tribe. Does that make sense? Like, let me know, because I want to make sure I'm approaching that delicately, because my biggest goal here is that you're creating spaces both digitally and in person that are feeding you and supporting you. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with curating your digital and in-person environments, right? Like, you are on a mission. If you're looking to build a business, grow a business, have impact on the world, like you are on a very special and focused mission that you've been chosen for. There is nothing wrong with making sure that mission is successful by eliminating the noise. Right? If you're a driver like me that got to turn the music down when you parallel parking so you don't hit nothing, why do we do that? We do that so we're not distracted, so that we don't hit the curb or the car behind us, right? And so again, we're eliminating distractions. Then we'll do that for very simple everyday tasks. But when it comes to something as important as protecting our mind and our headspace, it's like we feel guilt about it. It's like we feel guilt about who we unfollow, and we feel guilt about who we unfriend, and we feel guilt about who we mute. It's like we got to let that go. And if these people are your friends, and they should understand. And if they're not really your friends, their true colors will show. So I'm just gonna say, do what you got to do online. But be in a space in your business. Another way to eliminate that in your business, be in a space where you're proactive versus reactive. Be in a space where you're planning things out. There's a plan in the process, which prevents you from just being able to just go and do something on the same day anyway, right? Unless you're working with a coach or you're in a targeted program where there's like, day-to-day things you need to be doing, like my mastermind program. But other than that, like, you want to be in a place where you can prevent yourself from those spur of the moment type decisions, okay? And the last point I want to talk about, that may be causing inconsistency in your business, is that you maybe haven't nailed down your messaging. And by not having nailed down your messaging, there's inconsistency in how you're viewed and how you show up. So a really good example of this, I had a consultation recently with someone who was like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I pulled up their Instagram, and their Instagram was super active, but it was super inconsistent. It was like, random, like really cute pictures, but random pictures and random this and random that. And it's like I kind of felt confused as I was going through. And normally, I'm really good at kind of pulling together the pieces, which is what makes me a good coach. I'm really good at kind of hearing you and seeing what's going on and kind of pulling it together, making things cohesive for you. And I really struggle with that, which is a problem. And essentially, some telltale signs that you don't have your messaging together is, if one, without looking at your bio on any social platform, if somebody looked at your last 5 to 6 posts, can they tell what you do? Can they tell what you do consistently? Would they be thrown off by anything? The next thing, on your website, how many clicks does it take for me to figure out what exactly it is you sell and how to pay for it? Another example, how long does it take for you to explain what you do? Can you say what you do in one sentence? And then can you say what you do if you needed to get into a little bit more detail in under 60 seconds? Because if it takes you 5 minutes to explain it, it's not niche enough. It's not specific enough. And the reason why I'm going to push you on this, right, is because people's attention spans are not that long. They're not that long at all. So people are going to start to tune you out real fast, right? And the people in my mastermind program can tell you, on our very first coaching call as a group, the one thing we kept going through was that one-liner, because I'm like, this one-liner, you may think, I'm just harping, but I'm like, you're going to use this, like, let's say your Twitter bio, your Instagram bio. When you go live, that's the first thing you say, right? If you tuned into me when I first started, the very first thing I gave you was my one-line pitch, right? Because again, that's what's going to hook people and captivate them and make them actually want to sit there and listen to you. That's going to actually make them want to click, and what's going to make them scroll, right? And so think of it this way. If it takes you too long to explain, 9 times out of 10 is because you're confused, right? There's a little bit of confusion around, like, what exactly am I doing? Who am I serving? Or maybe if you're not confused, maybe you're just way too broad. And then your customer's going to be confused. And if you're confused, your customer's confused, your customer's not going to fill in the gaps. And so one thing you have to think about as business owners is that it's not our customer's job to figure out where they fit in. It's not our customer's job to figure out what we do. It's not our customer's job to guess if they're the right person for them. It's our job to create space on our websites, on our social platforms, through our funnels, to create space where they feel like she is talking to me. Right? When you watch me on live stream, when you listen to my podcast, when you read my newsletters, when you read my captions, my goal is for people who fit my target customer profile to read my stuff and say, dang, that's for me. That's what I'm going through. That's what I feel. That's what I want to accomplish. That's where I want to see my business go, because then that makes them want to do what? Take action. And people are inclined to take action when they feel an emotional connection to something and when it logically makes sense to them. If it doesn't do those two things, they're not going to take action, and they're definitely not going to buy. But in my world, people aren't going to book a consultation if they don't know what I do, and if they don't know what they need, and they don't know you see what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. But again, especially in my space, I sell premium price services. That means stuff isn't cheap, right? Which means I cannot afford to not show up consistently everywhere that I'm showing up if I'm trying to attract a customer that's going to pay me high-end prices to fix their problems, right? So just something for you to think about. And so messaging is definitely my specialty, and messaging is something that I teach in my mastermind programs and in my services. But to get you started with that, I do have a free webinar coming up called Lux Launch, How to Create an Irresistible Brand in 2020. That webinar is linked in my Instagram bio, in the description of my podcast, and also on all of my social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the above. That webinar is happening on Wednesday, January 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there is going to be a live encore on Friday the 17th over the lunch hour at 12 if you miss it. But I really wanted to start the year off talking about just irresistible branding and magnetic messaging, because I've seen on social, I know everybody's concern is, how do I stand out online? How do I get seen through all the noise? How do I navigate all the clutter and the saturation and the frauds and the scammers? And how do I get to my people, right? And so that's what we're going to go into a deeper dive on in that class. However, your pre-work, go back through these 4 points I just covered and really start to do some of that personal development work to figure out where your gap actually lies, so that when we talk about those branding strategies next week, the self-sabotage is now eliminated. If you're watching on Instagram, I recommend to screenshot this, tag me in your stories, and let me know what your number one takeaway was from this. If you're tuned in on Facebook, just put in the comments your number one takeaway from this live stream. With that, you all have a lovely and an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you in the next live stream. Bye.